to help.
Radiant team ban.
No, I think they're all really strong. I think they are a team that has lasted a long time. They all know each other. They've been together for a really long time. I don't think any one person needs to particularly step up. I think they just need to keep on doing what they've been doing, playing as that team. They trust each other. They believe in each other. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's the fact that they, as a team, Kroki mentioned a lot that they want to play aggressive, but sometimes they don't all seem to be on that same page sometimes. And like maybe 3 or 4 of them are doing it, but then there's the one guy who hasn't always been able to kind of get onto the same plan. And I think that sometimes disconnect is why they look amazing and like TI winning performance in some games. In other games, it's like, wait, what's happening? They've got this like draft that's a bit slow, you know. But I think when they find that kind of level where everyone kind of aligns to the kind of the philosophy of what NIGMA wants to be, that's when they're a really scary team.
Well, we've got a draft coming up. I want to talk a bit about what Team NIGMA did at the Animajor before we see these earlier picks. They were a team at the Animajor who I think had a style. They kind of came into the tournament with a particular way of playing that they kept through all of the wild cards and the group stages and the playoffs. And then that kind of maybe got a little bit found out. Are we going to expect them to see roughly the same style here, or are they going to build a new style as we predict what that happens in the upcoming picks?
I'm actually really curious because they had basically one draft that they played through Animajor. They picked this Mars and this AA like every game that they could. If it wasn't Mars or AA, it was DK, Phoenix, type heroes, and they just picked it non-stop.
Just picked X there already.
Yeah, and curiously, I'll go on, T. Go ahead.
I just want to say before we get into the nitty-gritty, the Hellbear Smashes logo in the smoke behind the mountain, very cool. Very, very cool.
It is cool.
Thank you very much. That's all I have to say. Back to you, Sheep.
Thanks for your input, sir. I'm glad you interrupted me for that. I really appreciate it.
Radiant
I actually lost my train of thought. Well played,
Oh no! Oh. Okay.
Well, sort of incisive
Phoenix
analysis that
that's true.
In for.
I've derailed her. Sorry, my bad.
No, it's over. I'm done.
Okay.
Oh, they did ban Brood
please.
though. That is a hero that they do not play. But I believe Mind Control played it once against LGD and they lost. So I don't think they're confident in picking Brood. I think they don't want to play against Brood. So I think that ban is very justified and normal for Team NIGMA.
I guess
the pick from help.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the kind of interesting thing here is the Smashers bans, the Nyx Invoker. These are often the 2 bans that teams would always do against Smashers during DPC because of course back then you had Stormer and it was just the idea of the team when they look at Nyx, it's like we hate the idea of Nyx because it removes our mid hero pool, and that was kind of a big Storm thing that he brought to teams like get rid of Nyx, let me play Dota. Maybe it stuck with them with the whole Boronier joining. But yeah, it's interesting that they have their own bans kind of being thrown in, but of course is respect to NIGMA. It's a miracle.
I want to chat a bit about this Lina. For Hellbears, Lina's been largely a Gilga hero. Bora Ninja doesn't play it so much. But in the other qualifiers, Lina's been played pretty rarely as a 4, to be honest. Been mostly a mid hero at Axe. Shupo, do you think this is going to be a mid Lina?
Templar Assassin.
Well, it can flex both ways, right? That's the strength of these heroes that you first phase nowadays. They can go in multiple lanes. Even Axe can go carrier off lane. I was checking out Bora Ninja's game history, and he does play Lina, and I think as well, Stormstormer played a lot of Lina as well, so they are used to playing this lineup with this Lina core. So if they want to put it mid on Bora Ninja, that would work really well for them because they know what they're doing with it.
No, exactly. Yeah, I like
one of. Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, no, mate. That's right. I like the idea of the mid Lina. Of course, the TA can be a bit annoying, but we saw how Lina developed as a hero throughout the major, especially mid lane, because you go for like Yules into like AC, BKB, you become very tanky very quickly, very sustainable, and that's the type of thing that you want in these type of games. Like, and of course, Lina Axe is very strong, but I like the fact that if it does go for mid Lina, you're going to have a free game in the essence of just play behind your Axe, just chill. So yeah, I honestly would like to see the mid lane. Allow Boronier to pop off. Like, he carried Mud Golems so many times from the mid lane. Got like double-digit kills, 2-3 deaths. Like, he was like one of the best players on the team before he got kicked, or he left, either way. But yeah, I'd like to see him on a hero that can have that type of performance.
I was planning out that Mars. It does look like quite a similar NIGMA draft to what we saw at the major. Did they play a lot of TA at the major?
Everyone dabbled with the TA. Everyone had a little bit of dabbling, but not a lot of play.
Everyone's tried
I think
a TA.
it was their go-to. I believe Miracle's most played heroes were like Invoker, Pug, Morphling, and even Razor. He played quite a bit of Razor.
10
Take him a bit
seconds
after that.
remaining.
Yeah. I think he only played like 2 or so
5
games of K at
seconds
most.
remaining.
It wasn't much.
But it could be an ILTW pick as
Dire
well.
team ban.
Again, it's not much, not very common ILTW. Albert's banning out the
Radiant
Ember, so
team
they seem
back.
to think it's a carry.
Yeah, both teams right now are just respecting the kind of philosophy of the teams, because Hellbent Smashers often put ace on these heroes that will secure the late game or secure like their big win condition. And he plays behind that pocket of aggression. It's like a 4
10
protect 1
seconds
style,
remaining.
where NIGMA, they're a little bit more kind of robust in the style of they all play as
5
4 or like
seconds
5
remaining.
quite quickly, and they'll run you over. And I think that's why Smashers, they're banning out these heroes that complement that overwhelming aggression, like minute 10, minute 11, run into your jungle. Because Smashers right now, when you pick an axe, you don't really deal with that well. You know, you need 15, 20 minutes of time to kind of chill, get a couple items, then you play a great game of Dota.
Radiant
And that's why they are
team
banning out these Mars, these Embers, because they can connect the dots very quickly to run over the slower game from Smashers.
Does Rasmus play... He plays a lot of axe. Does he play a carry axe, or does he play an old traditional?
Honestly, mate, I don't know. You know, Misery's a guy that, depending on what day he, like, what side of the
10
bed he wakes up,
seconds
he's a
remaining.
carry axe, he's a not 12 axe, you know, he's a 30-0 axe,
5
he's a
seconds
blade mail
remaining.
axe, he's a
Dire team
Manta axe. I don't know. Honestly, we're gonna have to see.
I think they'll pick Luna. I think they'll put Luna on either side because Terrorblade's banned. He's like the greatest carry. He deals with it really well. I wouldn't mind
it for
seeing
Enigma. Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
Especially against
Primarily-
that Winter Wyvern.
10
Yeah,
seconds
primarily because
remaining.
it's like Nigma's idea of beating the tanky off lanes, be it the Centaur, be it the
5
Axe or Timber
seconds
Saw,
remaining.
it was the Luna. You pair it with just like any 5, and it's just that constant chip. You have the disconnect from playing inside the creep wave, and you just run over your opponent quite quickly.
Team
Yeah, they
Nigma
also
picking
have.
up. Go ahead.
Radiant team.
Sorry, they have
pick.
Lion in the pool as well. I think that hero's really good. Oh well, never mind. They have an IO support hero now.
Watch out for the gyro.
Yeah, they played non-gyro
that's true.
together. They played with a bit of like Ursa, a bit of Morphling even
The
with IO.
Luna's still good, honestly. Like, it's Luna or
Yeah.
gyro, right? They're the 2
10
options.
seconds remaining.
Talk to me a little bit about this Wisp as a pick, because it's really only Enigma
5
pick, this
seconds
Wisp. We
remaining.
don't see it a huge amount elsewhere. I mean, other people pick it up, but they're the only team that reliably do. So they're picking it up just with the gyro. Or you said they do other things as well, but what sort of mechanism are you building towards too?
Farm. It's just farm. The hero fell off from first phasing because of the count, like the ability to understand. But second phase IO is still very strong because you already see like 3 pieces of the puzzle, right? You see kind of where the plan for the enemy is, and that's when you can punch them with farm. Like you see heroes like Lina Wyvern. If this is a
Dire
support duo,
team
they're not invading your jungle, taking away your stacks, preventing you from farming. And that unlocks a second phase IO pick to be paired with a gyro or a Luna, because that jungle is, you know, fully protected. You just efficiency, and now you're going to be top net worth, running over your opponent.
You also have to consider it's just comfort.
10 seconds remaining.
Talk to me about this Hoodwink, Sheepo.
5
Hoodwink,
seconds
very
remaining.
contested hero, I'd say. I think she's quite strong as a support. She has a lot to offer,
Dire
especially with
team
the
back.
ability to burst heroes with her ultimate when they do these pickoffs. She trades quite well in lane. She's just very good at a lot of things, it feels like. She can help us, you know, split push these lanes as well. She's just in general, she's good at setting up. I think that's a very strong ability on
10
Hoodwink.
seconds
But,
remaining.
yeah, mostly the hero just like pokes and fights and goes back and forth, and she's just very
5
effective
seconds
with all of her
remaining.
spells.
The second most picked hero in the TI qualifiers so far after Lion, which has not even seen a big one. We're with the meta when we're outside of the meta. We're even place. It's Team Nigma. Gyrocopters move into final bans. So you talk to me about what you'd like to see Nigma ban out here to prevent Hellbears.
I think maybe Ursa, or like kind of this hero that wants to get into the fight, because right now Smashers, they have no hero that innately
Radiant team
walks up
back.
front into the engagement with happiness, and that alone kind of is an issue for Smashers, because like Lina needs 2 or 3 items to feel comfortable in this game. Axe, of course, is a reinitiator, and then Hoodwink, Wyvern, if this is your support duo, they're like heavily backline type heroes. I think a carry that can run up in front, like even like a
10
Wraithling, for example, as
seconds
well,
remaining.
just get involved and just soak it up.
5 seconds remaining.
Team Nigma are going to ban
Spectre.
out the Drow, which is in many ways the opposite of the Ursa.
Yeah, this is true.
Team ban.
They want to focus on the laning phase, and this could be an indicator of like they want like a Tidehunter or a Slardar style pick for mind control last, and this is why they're, rather than banning out for the game, they're banning out for the lane, because like they know that Io Gyro will have good time. TA should fare well
10
mid, so as long as there's not a
remaining.
favorable matchup in the safe lane for Smashers, you know, mind control
5
should go even as well. And I think that's like, I just described these kind of later heroes, but they're just like, no, let's just make sure he enters the game well, because all 3 lanes entering well gives Nigma that kind of idea of running over their opponent.
Do you like these Hellbears bans?
I think they're decent. I quite like them. Sanking is a great initiator, as is Clockwork, and I think that's what Team Nigma lack right now on their team. Obviously, you can relocate in a hero, but if there's no hero going in first and locking someone down for you, you know what you're gonna do. Especially with this egg, you want to take your team fight. You want to egg. You want to protect that egg. You want to, you know, block people down so they get stunned by it. But right now, Nigma have literally nothing for that. I think Sanking's one of the best heroes to do it, just because of the speed of his initiation. And I think, like with Mars Band as well, they're quite limited in their options of what they can pick here.
So we're probably, and call me out if I'm way off here, we're probably expecting a DK last pick.
Did it get through?
I mean, I know.
Yeah, it is available. Let's not beat around the bush here, guys. It is available. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, honestly, like you have any hero that plays lane quite chill and has a stun. Slardar, DK, Tidehunter, any of these lads work perfectly well for Nigma, because it gives them
Radiant
to like
team
someone to
ban.
round out their draft with. Sorry, ban the Luna themselves.
I think the Luna would have been a really good pick.
Yeah.
But only a little bit worried about a range, because they want something to take down the Phoenix. I
10
suppose they've got the
seconds
Lina to
remaining.
take down the Phoenix, but it's just one hero.
5
something else.
seconds remaining.
It's the idea of winning the lane, you know, like they focus so heavily on just make sure
Dire
mind
team
control
pick.
gets a good game rate, because again, like Nigma, they pick here first, so whatever they pick, Ace will get like the counter to it. It'll have the matchup, and that's why rather than trying to brain some stuff, they're like just ban out the best lane winners right now that we think Ace can play.
Snap. They've got
Radiant
20 seconds to
team
make a pick, Sheep 6. Tidehunter, there we go.
There it is.
It's one of those boys. Okay. Well, you're going to have to
One of the
predict
boys.
Hellbear Smashers draft then, Sheep, because you weren't able to do that Team Nig 1 in time.
Oh no.
You've got
No
55
pressure.
seconds. Time is going down. Countdown theme is playing.
10
like
seconds
Ursa
But not
Bears.
playing though.
Ursa Bear's pretty great. Although Ace usually plays quite heavy farming
5
carries,
seconds
so he could
remaining.
even be on the axe, right? And they could just pick some offlaner here. I don't know what would be good enough. I feel like Ursa is so good at taking down this like Tidehunter hero, and also it's really good when you want to like 4p1 something. Obviously they have TA Gyro dual core, that's pretty good, but I feel like Ursa could probably just burst the hero fast enough that they can't save with IO, or like you can help kill the egg. I would like that hero a lot. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe they just go full tanky, pick some Medusa.
They do play a lot of Juicer.
Yeah,
is
like,
currently
do they
banned
have
out.
damage? Oh, is it?
Currently banned.
Yes, second
I
base
can't
from
see-
Nigma. No, it's fine.
They
Okay,
play so
well,
much Juicer
whatever.
they can get it through the bans. It's
I w-
fine. When you play a lot of it hero, it doesn't matter if it's banned.
You may now
Ooh,
select
yeah.
your heroes.
That doesn't seem good
okay.
against Titan lane.
That's an interesting
this-
pick.
Okay.
Interesting. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
We're going to
Interesting.
head into this game pretty quickly. So as a last minute prediction, T, who do you think is going to win this?
The viewer.
Viewer, that's the real winner. So we've got one prediction for the viewer, Sheepo. Have you got a more? You're going to hedge your best?
I'll always put my bets on GHIO. I think Nigma's got this in the bag.
Okay, well, can Team Nigma relocate themselves into a Game 1 win? I'm going to hand over to our wonderful casters, the stupendous Suns fan and Cinderin.
Hello,
10 seconds
everybody.
remaining.
Suns fan here with the great Cinderin. How are you
5
doing
seconds
on this
remaining.
lovely morning for you? Actually, it's morning for both of us, Cinderin.
That's
Greetings.
Stupendous. Do you like that introduction?
Well, we do
Let me
put
just
stupid
Google
and
exactly
stupendous,
what
so.
it means. That's the thing about Dan. He uses big words, and we're not very smart. So Extremely impressive, says Kula. So he's just flat out lying to the viewers. That's great. That's the host.
Yep, that's how we start every cast, by being self-deprecating. So no matter how bad we are, people can't complain because we warned them beforehand. Isn't that right,
Only
Cinder?
impress now. Yeah, that's it. Now we can only impress. If people have never listened to us before, they're gonna be like, all right, these two have no idea what they're talking about. And then hopefully throughout the game, they'll be like, okay, they knew very little what they were talking. It's still better than nothing.
True. It is an improvement. So,
yeah, exciting game. I just want to quickly, going into the series, I think there's obviously going to be some big storylines in this tournament. A lot of people have high hopes for NIGMA. So this is like their first test going up against the Hellbear Smashers that, like T Governor pointed out, Hellbears are good at taking that one game off a team, but can they take it this NIGMA, I think if you polled the population in Dota right now, I think most people would expect either OG or NIGMA to make it through. So get one of the two top dogs here in the first series. And NIGMA are playing a lot of their trademark stuff. So they're really they're going in guns blazing for game one.
very insightful indeed. If you polled most people, they would pick the two most popular teams to come out. You are absolutely correct, Sundarin. Well, they are both the most popular, and right now they have the most DPC points. Right? So,
the thing, though, is that NIGMA did not look good in the last tournament they played. They did not look good in ESL, right? It wasn't just the placement they got, but their games just looked a bit disconnected and out of form compared to the major, where, if you're going to the tournament with that in your mind, you might think a team like Tundra could even be favored against who will obviously further down the line.
No, I think there is the aspect, and the panel kind of talked about that NIGMA were kind of figured out towards the later end of the major, and at ESL they just played the same. I mean, they're basically playing the same thing here. So, I mean, obviously there hasn't been any kind of a patch, so I don't. That's actually a good question. Were you expecting anything different coming from them? Are they just waiting for the patch to come before they make these major tweaks going into TI?
I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that NIGMA plays and played at the major are just really good heroes in the patch. So if anything, I think small adjustments are enough. Like swap out one or two heroes in your active arsenal, and then you have if you have some sort of cheeky last pick that you've theorized could be good, then maybe that. But outside of that,
the battle begins.
In ESL as well, I don't think the biggest problem necessarily was strategy. I just think they got outplayed more so than having poor strategies. So. Also about, just being in form and being on the same page. Speaking of strategy, like the panel was pointing out, this looked like a really good Ursa game, by the way, for the Smashers. And I really wonder what made them end up on the PL, if it's more of a macro understanding of the game right now that a hero like Ursa can't win this late game or can't build enough of an advantage. Because he had some amazing matchups. Ursa's very good against Tide, very good against Phoenix. In my opinion, very good against Gyro as well. There was only really Miracles PA that you were worried about, where you took the opposite approach here, where you took the PL that's good against the TA, but not so good against the Tide or the Phoenix. So maybe showing a lot of respect to the TA pick in general, and feel like you have to have a solution.
I want to say, at the major, from the games that we cast at least, PL looked as if he's going to get pressured completely out here. It's like he'll survive the engagement, though, early on, between the Kuroki and Mind Control combo, but PL looked, I don't know if you feel the same way, it felt a bit underwhelming once you got to the late game timing. It feels like you need this semi-carry, which maybe, Bora on the Lina can be that hero, but PL just doesn't feel like this hero you can just bank everything on.
I think the hero just felt overwhelming in general, not just in the late game. There were a couple of games that we saw where he did very well when he was in the very good conditions and there was a very good cast and plan around him. I don't know how much I like Hellbear Smasher's lineup as a PL lineup. Usually what PL wants is his other heroes either having I would say very good ability to single target out people so that PL can go on something else. And what you're primarily sitting with, I guess the Hoodwink could be kind of cool for that, but you're kind of relying largely on an axe call to start a fight, and then PL will try to go on something else. Because this hero thrives in chaos, right? And I think that's part of the reason he looked weak at the major, was that a lot of the teams had this very structured team fight that the hero isn't so good against.
Bot lane,
Tofu is in trouble bottom here.
Cold embraces himself for now. Kuro does have a couple of fire spirits left, and with the right click from Mind Control, nope, not going to quite take out. Now Mind Control kind of on the run, and as we see this action, I want to scroll just a little bit higher. Oh, they actually got rid of it. No, there's this, I've never seen this spray paint before. You'll see it. I don't know who it is, but it's of a person yawning, and that might be the best spray paint in the entire game. So just have to you have to wait with bated breath here until that comes about again. So maybe we can ask the players to pop it on the floor one more time.
So they don't kill Tofu there, but they do force out the Cold Embrace skill point on level 2, which means that the aggressive potential of Smashers in the safe lane is basically non-existent. I don't think you really wanted to try to play aggressive here anyway. You're playing against
Radiant's
Tide Phoenix with a
courier has
PL.
been killed.
PL does like negligible damage to Tide already, so what's your Wyvern really going to do? So you're just trying to sustain and farm, so it's kind of par for the course here. And it kind of goes both ways. Like, it looked like maybe there was a potential kill on the Wyvern there for Nigma, but it's still at Fairy Fire, and obviously Phoenix's damage is not too interesting until level 3 and especially level 5 with the Fire Spirit points. So I think we're just going to have a farm lane down here for the most part. Mid lane, Boranya versus Miracle is a pretty even lane, Lina against TA. I think, go back a couple years, TA wins this matchup pretty hard, but Lina has some more things going her way now than back then. And then in that top lane, I think Io Gyro is a good lane against Dax.
All right, a courier was just fed to Rasmus here, aka Misery. He's going to chase down GH a bit. Forgot to mention this, of course. This is, I think, the first time I've ever cast Misery since the DC days, so I'm actually pretty excited about this. There's another courier, potentially with his name on it, but GH. We can micro that, make sure they don't feed a second one to Mr. Rasmus himself. I don't know why he changed his name. I need to... Now, that's going to be my research for the next game, which he'll probably not answer me, but I'm going to figure out why he changed his name from Misery.
Maybe he felt like every time in the game, like he just had too many negative connotations when he looked at his screen.
Could be.
He wanted a more optimistic and positive name for his team. With
He
happy
did have a
names
reputation.
such as Tofu and Ace. You need
I mean,
to
Tofu
match
is the most neutral name possible, right? It's tasteless. To add everything to it to make it taste anything good, but
that was a contra.
really, I thought that was the entire point of it. Okay, well, we can have a discussion this time. By itself, yeah, the whole idea is to add stuff to it. But anyway, back to the games, and this is the TI qualifier, for God's sake. Get your head back inside the game, good sir. We have ILTW, of course, on this gyrocopter, 22-7 versus the PL 2073. So neither are farming that great. As you can see, Rocket Barrage on the Mr. Rasmus. You can see Gil here. A little bit of damage from the sideline. It's a hero we have yet to talk about because he's been in basically every single game, this Hoodwink. I know you hated him at first, but I should say. Have your thoughts changed over the course of the past few weeks?
They actually have. So at the major, when I was talking about Hoodwink, I wouldn't say I was a hater. I just felt like the hero had a lot of conditionals that needed to be met in order to perform well. Like a couple of heroes in the meta really made it hard to survive.
That's first blood for Nigma. Go ahead, Senator. Go ahead.
So I think Hoodwink needed a lot of... It felt like Hoodwink needed a lot of conditionals met, but after just seeing it and playing it more, I'm kind of getting to a point now where I think the hero's a bit more independent than I give it credit for. It's somewhat against a lot of combinations where it would be hard. I think if you play around it in a smart way, you can set things up, and the tempo of the game really seems to favor a skill like Bushwhack Kite a lot. There's a lot of fighting around tree lines in the early mid game in many of these games where Hoodwink can do a lot of impact. Usually when the hero starts falling off is when teams start getting like BKBs or like just get too tanky or get a lot of mobility items, so it gets harder to hit your spells. But in the position that Smashers picked it, I kind of like it. Like when you pick it later into the draft, when you see that the enemy team, okay, they're not playing like 3 heroes that have insane mobility. They're very much grounded, right? Like, what did you see at the time? You saw Phoenix, TA, and Io, I think, with that Hoodwink. None of these heroes with like insane mobility, so you have a good chance of landing your spells and not relying too much on teammates.
It does feel like one of those vanilla picks as well.
This is my shout.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I mean, I will say this, Cinder. I know you're going to disagree, but this is one of the heroes that NA has introduced to the world. They basically the only region to play this hero for the longest time. We saw at the major.
Maybe that's why it wasn't picked so much at the major.
Yeah, that's why you didn't believe in it, because NA were the team. I mean, you're like, NA's garbage, so anything they pick is probably
you were really good.
Hey, they happen to be right about one thing, all right? So that's true. We can at least put that to our name. But we haven't really talked about the lineups overall. Michael's getting pressured out of the bot lane for now. We'll be okay though. But do you favor one team or the other, not including skill? Because obviously coming into this team Enigma, like you talked about, the #1 seed for all intents and purposes, so they will be the team to beat.
I don't know. So one thing I'm not so big a fan of with NIGMA's lineup is what the panel points out, that they have like no catch, no reliable way of setting up fights. They just have that Ravage. And when you get out of the laning stage and skirmishes start happening, you're very much reliant on Ravage to get stuff done. But when you get later in the game, you can kind of itemize your way out of it, right? By just having overwhelming items or buying stuns or maybe be able to outlast, so you get a guaranteed good Ravage because your cores are tanky enough with the IO Phoenix backing them up.
Radiant's
It
middle
just
tower
takes too
is
long.
under attack.
Borania will be forced to TP away here from the room.
Can you pronounce that name again for me, please?
Okay, so I actually don't know. So I call him Boranya, and some call him Borania, and the panel
Okay.
call him Bora Ninja, which is definitely wrong because the letter isn't even in his name. So I'll say they're wrong, but beyond that, I don't know.
Okay, I'm just gonna call him Bora. It's just half of his name, so it can't be technically
Yeah, let's
incorrect.
call him Bora.
So NIGMA, they see this stack here. The question is, can they give enough the pressure? Here's Rasmus. He's gonna be found out. Is level 6 right now. The trap does slow. Homing missile on the way. Switchback does connect onto 2, but Rasmus able to get up into the first will be tanky as a result. The call down is there with the reinforcements on the way as well. Finally, NIGMA are able to take him out, but will it cost him anything? All the rotations here from Nowhere Smasher. GH will not be able to keep you out. LSA was there. It ends up being a 1-for-1, but the real question is, where does the stack go? They can't take it without the axe.
Yeah, they're just gonna hold the area, and Axe is gonna fall there as soon as he's spawned. He'll try again. Exo Vanguard can do this on his own. Yeah, you could be cute and cold embrace him with Wyvern. Kyle's primary contribution to Pro Dota history, but they don't need to do that here. Axe can do it on his own problem. So, yeah, I feel like I didn't really answer your question about who my favorite is going
You
late.
never do. I just want to hold on. I hope people out there that are listening and watching just understand that you don't answer any questions. Period.
Ever.
Yes.
Okay, so if NIGMA get through at what could be a turbulent mid game, I do favor their strategy in the end, because I think both TA and Gyro in this game are going to be overwhelmingly farmed, and I always like Phoenix late game as a support. Yes, you're playing into Lina, but it's literally the only very big problem you have for your egg, because PL can't go for the Supernova when he's just going to get ravaged, right? So if you set it up nicely with, let's say, TA starting the fight with either, I don't know if Miracle's going to go for a Scythe in this game to lock people down, or a Nullifier or whatever, to just like start the fight, and then Phoenix follows through, it's very difficult for Hellbird Smash to go in and deal with that Supernova, and Tide will get a refresher late games, get 2 Ravages. Very late, I like NIGMA. In theory, in the next 10 minutes, I like Smashers, but I haven't really seen them take much initiative right now. They're kind of just letting both the Gyro and the TA farm to their heart's content. It's really not a good look. But these two heroes just farm faster than anything you have. Like, you're not going to keep up with your PL and your Axe to this when the Axe is played offlane.
I'm going to ask you a bit of a, I don't know what kind of question you want to even describe this as. It's a bit of a hot take. Do you think Gyro is a good hero without IO?
Radiant structures are fortified.
You see Bushwhack? We got to hold the horses there, Mr. Cinderin. Yeah, Sharpshooter's there, but Rasmus not able to do much as there was a relocate. But it's actually a baby relocate. They want to go back in here. Kuroki does have egg as well.
Has been
And a
denied.
posture, but doesn't work a fight with people actually commencing this. So go ahead with your amazing opinion that you want to answer.
Nice deny bottom by 2 for there on the Wyvern, by the way. Power from Tide. So, yeah, I actually do think Gyro can be a good hero without IO. I don't think it's as much of a requirement as it felt like, I want to say, a month or 2 ago, where it was literally only played together. But if you do pick Gyro without the IO, I think it needs to be a very late pick in the draft. Because there's like specific pitfalls for this hero where it can be difficult, like some matchups where people come up too close and are a lot of the like very mobile heroes can kite you and make your life miserable because your spells don't land. So much of your damage in the early mid game is about the rocket barrage as well as the call down until you get farmed enough that Flak Cannon becomes your main source. A lot of heroes can deal with you very well, but when it gets picked late, like let's say last pick or second to last,
LPW might be in some trouble. GH does have his relocate, and you can see just like that with the Bushwhack setup. Hellbear Smashers absolutely decimate him. So turns into a tier 1 as well as Bora's rotated here in addition to basically everybody from Hellbear Smashers.
I don't think you hold this tower. Like, I get what Mind Control's intent is. This is something you want to do with these like tanky offlaners like Tide, is you want to TP in and defend your safe lane tower. Same logic for Timbersaw, but like your carry just died. He doesn't have buyback, and the power's on 20%. I think that TP, he might complete it anyway, just so he can sit up here and take the follow-up farm that comes and push out the wave again. That tower was definitely dead on arrival as soon as LTW died. And nice from Hellbears here, right? Like, they take some initiative. It's been a relatively quiet game. They kill the carry, they take tier 1. I think you want to keep rolling. You have a peel with this early defusal timing. Hoodwink has level 7, which is a very strong spike for the hero when you have your ulti and 4 points in bushwhack, which are powerful. Axe is going to get his dagger and 20 gold. So all things are coming together here. I would really like to see Smashers try more invasive maneuvers, especially if they can play away from the Tide. That's like the one centerpiece that NIGMA have to kind of glue their lineup together in teamfights right now.
Dire are scanning.
Forcing the guy to TP top could have even given them a smoke toward the other side of the map, but they chose to fall back to farm the dagger first.
And like you said, Ace does have a Defusal Blade. We have Bora on the Lina, has the Boots of Travel going into Yules. We saw the Maelstrom already picked up by LPW. Obviously going for the Aghanim Scepter thereafter. I mean, once he gets that, it feels like his farm just takes on another level where there's almost no other heroes that can really catch up outside of like a Luna type hero. I mean, even the TA on your team won't be able to keep up with that at some point in the game. By the way, now that we have a small break, I have a little bit of not a complaint, but why has nobody talked about how the health bars at the top have changed colors? Is that just me that notices this?
What has
In the last patch?
Is it a different green hue and a different red hue? Or?
Yeah, they're both darker. Is that just my computer?
That's true, actually.
Why has nobody really been bothered?
Is that only when you're spectating or also when you're playing?
When I'm playing as well. Okay, a PSA out there, nobody has brought that. I feel like I'm literally crazy that I'm the only one that has noticed it. Really
when did that happen? In a patch like a day ago or something?
No, it was the Nemesis patch, I believe.
Oh. I think people didn't notice it because they were lagging all the time, so they couldn't really focus on other things.
Well, they're still lagging, I guess. I don't know what the deal with that is. Yeah, that micro stutter.
Heroes, yeah, they're focusing on improving their performance rather than looking at the top of the screen. Mid tower is gonna be attacked here. I like this from Smashers. No siege creep yet though, so I think a better timing would have probably been next wave. But it's the right idea to not just sit back and farm and do nothing. Relatively quiet game though. 4 kills at 15 minutes is very slow in this patch.
Radiant's top tower is
And
under attack.
I think NIGMA are happy with it, so you're not... You know, there's like this fine balance in the game between doing what you want to do and doing what the enemy team doesn't want you to do. They're not always the same thing. Does that make sense? Like sometimes your lineup really wants to farm, but because the enemy team wants to farm even more than you do, it can be better to play aggressive. Like, the reason I say this is that a lot of the time PL lineups are happy to just do this, right? Just sit back and farm. Oh, PL's free farming, that's great. But the lineup you're playing against probably thrives more from that playstyle than your PL draft, even though you last picked it. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of...
Under attack.
There should be a feeling of urgency to get something done for Smashers here. Even though their lineup, in theory, would be happy to farm.
Yeah, we talked about it. Gyro and TA are basically going to out-farm you no matter what at this stage. I mean, right now, Miracle...
Like, it's just a 1k lead, but it's kind of the writing on the wall that key items are coming up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, now that the Ags is... Actually, did he change up his build? Is he going BKB on ILPW? I think something's being delivered right now. We'll see what that is. But Miracle did get his Desolator right now. Okay, so it ends up changing his... So it looks like they want to fight with this Desolator on Miracle. That's kind of the timing. As... See that they're scouted out in
this game will be BKBs, right? You pretty much negate a lot of the Lina. You negate basically all of Hoodwink. At least for Hellbear Smashers, they do have 2 abilities in the Call as well as the Winter's Curse, so it's not nothing. But even against a hero like Phantom Lance, the BKB can actually be very good because you remove the diffusal aspect of the hero. Can help you in a lot of core matchups, especially. So I think, you know, ILTW getting his BKB and maybe Miracle after Blink will get another BKB. Tide got his dagger. It's still just very calm with Smashers, I feel like having this timing right now that it isn't really getting used. They got an X Blink, have yet to use it. Lina has her Yules, has yet to use it.
I mean, this is a situation, I know it's an offlane act. This is like, if you knew this was going to happen, you probably would have just went straight for Mantha, I assume, and not gotten the blink yet. But it is 17 minutes,
yeah.
They can't get that shark quite yet, so they are going to smoke, and we'll see if they can find a kill as a result of this. I think this is I feel like the first team smoke of the entire game here. But like we talked
I think
about...
Smashers are just frustrated. It feels like they're not able to push out the waves as much as they would like to make these smokes
Dire's
good. And
middle
at this point, they're going to do
tower is
one
under
where
attack.
both their bottom and top wave are kind of halfway across the map for the other team. So it's not like a very advantageous position. And now they're going to move in. They're going to place an ops, which is uncovered. Do know there's a ward from
This would be a huge kill. Hoodwink gets off the stun. Beautiful Laguna Blade. That is enough to delete ILTW. And the big thing about that is he was 200 gold away from finishing his BKB. So now he's 400. That is a big timing opening here for Hellbear Smashers. We'll see if they can take the tier 1 in addition here. But Mind Control is a bit. He is here with the Blink Ravage. They really want to go for this. It is 45.
Lina double
Dire's
damage here.
structures are fortified.
Notification.
Dire's
Pop.
middle tower is under
That
attack.
looks like the tower will fall, and NIGMA
Dire's
just gonna chill
middle
for
tower
now.
has fallen.
Wait for ILTW to come back up.
Really
Didn't
nice
mention,
Smashers.
Hoodwink did get the Ironwood Tree neutral, by the way. Maybe I'd say the second best hero to be able to get this behind Timbersaw. Although it's not as good on Timbersaw as it used to be.
Radiant's
Basically, just
middle
plant the
tower
tree,
is
and then
under
you can
attack.
bushwhack first and then tree after.
Yeah,
Almost like an
800
invisible
cast
stun.
range and it's pretty much instant placement. So yeah, it is very good on Hoodwink for sure. It gives you it basically gives you in a way half a spell because you don't need to rely on the travel time of 8.5 anymore, which is a big part of the weakness of that spell. Is that it's very telegraphed and it does take some time to land. And it can be quelling, right? But if you throw the net and then place the tree as the net is landing, no hero can quelling blade that.
I'm sure
Kinda
there's some
cool here.
people with reaction time, Synderen, or scripting, but of course nobody's going to be doing that
Radiant
in
are
this lobby,
scanning.
at the very least. These are TI level players, especially in the likes of Misery. Second place, I don't know if you knew that, Synderen. Very good player back in the day.
Very good player.
Hoping for a resurgence from him in particular. It's cool to see him in the off lane, though. Definitely not a position that, you know, back in the day he would play position 5 and 4. Pretty much that's it. And then recently, I'm not sure how recently. Maybe I have to talk to T-Gov about this since he's been in the know with him, but
He won a major as offlane.
recently.
Oh, that's quite a while ago. That was in Shanghai in 20.
Yeah, this was was it on Secret? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Played offlane
That was
for
with Weehaw, or was that EE? Maybe all
That
of
was with
them
EE.
were on the team.
he was it. Who were the supports? It was Puppy. Was it Puppy Pilot Eye?
Hey, I was gonna say Pilot Die probably. Yeah.
Puppy Pilot
Man.
Eye. Yeah, it was Pilot Eye. I remember.
Secret
very-
had some crazy 5-man, I have to say. All right, we have a mech picked up for Mr. GH. ILTW did finish that BKB. Looks like Gil's gonna use it to try to get to the other side, but it's gonna be found pretty easily. That's gonna be a freebie for NIGMA, and they're just gonna go into Roche. Question
Does
is,
it
can
buyback on the
Hellbear
Hoodwink? They have all spells except the sharpshooter, so he's gonna buy back. And Nigma doing this specifically to force that buyback and immediately get the hell out of there. Very experienced. They know this was what they were trying to do.
Smoke too.
And smoke again.
Yeah, of course, Hoodwink, one of the few heroes.
Is very big.
Hoodwink, one of the few heroes that can actually scout into Roche, so actually a pretty important hero to have alive right now. Ace, and he's found out, gets the bounty, but will run. ILTW just going to take the triangle for now. So you can see that Hellbear Smashers are kind of spread a bit. Rasmus towards the top of the screen. They can close in and try to find a nice initiation.
As long as Nigma aren't killing Roche, I think this is fine from Hellbears. You know, you're paying some respect to the enemy team. Smoke movement, you know they're smoke because Gyro broke on the PL. And you just push out the waves, buy some time. And Nigma eventually are going to just back off. They didn't really accomplish much with their 2 smokes. They got 1 support kill from 2 smokes. Who, in fairness, did buy back, but it wasn't that big of an expense. I think Hellbears,
Dire's top tower
they're
is
doing
under
fine. They're
attack.
2k gold up. It's not a monumental lead, but after they found that kill on Gyro as well as the mid tower, I feel like the game's kind of a good spot. And Garanya will use a nice real TP out against that relocate.
No stuns.
Yeah, no
He
stun.
needs to get level 25 to get that precious stun.
I feel like, you know, I talk about this a lot. I feel like playing lineups without stuns is just hard. And it doesn't, like, I'm not gonna, you know, say that NIGMA's draft makes no sense and why the hell don't you pick stuns or whatever, but I think they might have had a different plan for their last pick. The DK ban obviously coming out, I think, was the hero they wanted, but that was clearly a good ban from the Smashers, but yeah, having only Ravage as a stun, you're just seeing situations where heroes can play the map differently on the enemy team, such as the Lina there. Like, if there's literally any stun there, that's just a dead Lina, but because Bora knows that that's not an option, he can push that extra wave that little bit further, or play that little more cocky in fights and get away with it.
I think it's time for GH to get his shards. It's the initiation top lane. Rasmus gets up, throws the knife. Sharpshooter into Luna Blade. Absolutely delete mind control. And looks like Hellbear Smashers will be able to get out just fine. Although he does get off the homing missile, but really to no avail here. Is Rasmus showing off his newly minted Manta style, working on a shard for himself. So we talked about how, yeah, he is. It's mega fun, for sure. He just farmed his ILTW, basically. That's not good. This is going to be a Roach now.
For Hellbear, no tide, no buyback. They're actually just going to lose this. I don't see a way NIGMA can contest this at all, so I don't think they're even going to bother. But maybe they are called out.
There. He's available with the egg. You see the Sunray coming out. Actually, Toxic is BKB as well. The homing missile coming. Lena's going to get to the high ground. Toku and Ace trying to traverse to their side of the map. Miracle kind of get caught out though. LSA's there into the right click. It looks like it's going to be more than enough damage to take him out. And it only beats them on Wyvern. Roach extremely low right now. The egg does finally pop for Kuroki. A lot of low heroes on the side of Hellbear Smashers. I feel like they have enough time to go heal and go back and get Roche.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a good play from NIGMA because they stop the Roche and they don't Ravage. So if they can hold the area until Miracle spawns, they might be able to grab the Roche themselves. I didn't think they were going to be able to or try to contest there, but I think the really key thing was Rasmus was tanking Roche and couldn't blink. So he wasn't able to connect on the net that Gilger found on the gyro when he walked in. And he just
I think they could get it right now, though. This is the timing for Hellbear.
20 seconds. I like this a lot. Again, you're just forcing NIGMA's hand. You know, there's no supernova. 20 seconds on the key. Are they going to buy back? Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, they want to go around again. Stops it from beautiful, but there's the Ravage into the pit, but it looks like the Aegis in the end, but the Roshan actually goes to NIGMA, and they're going to lose everybody. Gyro's dead, Io's dead, Kuroki on the high ground now, Rasmus just limping away from the triple kill for Bora. Looks like Mind Control is next on the list. They only lose Rasmus. What a huge fight for Hellbear Smashers. Oh, jeez. Ultra kill. Mr. Bora, who I can't pronounce your name, but you're playing very well, young man. Good job.
Hello? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Hello, NIGMA? Okay, doesn't this just feel like one of those moments where, okay, if you're gonna double down on that Roach, you're gonna buy back your TA when you go for the Ravage? And the reason is TA has Blink, so if she TPs on the outpost, I think she can connect in time. Instead, you're kind of like, I'm not gonna say they half-ass it, because it is a really big commitment to buy back the TA, but at the same time, I think if you believe in that fight, buying back the TA should probably get you the Aegis. And then that's, you know, if that's the outcome, that you pay a buyback to get that Aegis and the enemy team doesn't get it, that's pretty good, I would say. But going in as 4 there with the Ravage seems a bit optimistic under those circumstances.
I believe the
basically
Ravage
had 2 4-man fights on Roche in a row, right? Like, NIGMA took 2 4v5s in a row there. The first one was without the TA, and the second one was, or sorry, the first one was without Gyro, right? And the second...
Dire's bottom tower
First one was without
attack.
First one was without someone, second one was without someone else, okay? I have the memory of a goldfish, but I think it was tied first and the second fight was without the TA, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I figured it out. It just took...
Radiant structures.
Did you figure out that the Ravage killed Roshan as well, Syndrome? It's quite the highlight, and very awkward 1 second period where the Aegis was on the ground.
Imagine NIGMA don't get lucky. I mean, that's just pure luck, right? That the Ravage gets the kill. Then
wait, how much does that matter? How much gold and XP is that even?
It's a decent chunk. I think this would be about a 1k bigger lead. Just, I mean, not flat, but instead of 3k, would say 4k right now, and there would be a little bit more experience. Like, in the grand scheme of things, the Aegis is more important than the kill, obviously. But, you know, Smashers were set to get both. So at the very least, that's something to do. This team is coming up top. They're very late on this.
Yeah, Ace already at half HP. He needs to be careful here. Tier 2's already dead. QB losing some matches coming in. Homing missile will follow, but mind control with another Ravage. This time it's going to be basically just on the Luna who gets the Yules off, but the right clicks are going to be more than enough. Nope, going to get saved for now. The LSA's not going to connect though, and will shortly find her way to the grave. BKB pop from Miracle now as the chase is on. Still buyback available though for Bora. He wants to extend it here. Doppelganger's able to take off that homing missile. Tofu getting chased though in the meantime. Yeah, can't even get off the golden brace in time. So a 2 for nothing along with the tier 2 tower. Despite not having the Aegis, NIGMA are not scared to fight. Into the hoodwink bushwhack. 2 huge kills. Double kill for Rasmus, but shot from the shot was there. And now the egg looks to be next, but it will get popped eventually. Doppelganger actually ends up dodging it a bit here as Ace. Like another bushwhack from Gil. Beautifully done from this hoodwink.
Radiant's middle tower
3
is
big
under
turnaround
attack.
kills
Dying
after a
scan.
horrible fight for Hellbear.
I don't know what happened in that top fight. Like, I look at the fight and I just see Alina in the middle of everyone without BKB and 500 health. Like, she popped BKB coming down from her own rules, but how the hell did she get in that position to begin with? You look at the way this Radiant lineup is structured, right? You have a very clear-cut initiation plan with either Hoodwink or Axe, and Lina's just supposed to be long-range artillery. So I don't know how she found herself in the midst of all of that. Doesn't even have a dagger to get in with, so it couldn't have been that. But yeah, they get a couple of recovery kills on Rasmus there, that definitely helps. So honestly, this is very defensive BKB. Scared of getting caught.
Low as 6 seconds. And then the call comes in with the Laguna Blade, so yet another kill for Hellbear. Man, I cannot say their name when I'm talking fast. Slow down like every time I say Team NIGMA. Have to use that, I guess. That strategy that I've picked up over the years. Next is tier 2 tower. Hellbears, the Radiant team versus the Dire.
Didn't reach. The wave actually didn't reach to break that back door, so
yeah,
good job from Miracle on the trap control. If you look at the spot, they're going to push out here. Let themselves some time.
Radiant's bottom
Yeah,
tower
ILTW. We
is
talked
under
about, I mean,
attack.
the fact that he's not even top net worth is pretty crazy considering the amount of farm that he's able to get on this hero, but all the credit to Hellbears. They have definitely shown up here today. With that 4K net worth lead now. Talked about the relocate. Already used Bushwhack. Into the Sharpshooter. That's the break. Onto the Tide Hunter. No follow-up though.
Tower is under attack.
Good posturing here as the Aegis is now expired. That's something we didn't really talk about, but obviously Sharpshooter against Tide, if you're able to connect it at the full duration, it is a pretty long break. It is dispellable, but not having Kraken Shell means that you can just burst this hero. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons you pick Tidehunter, is you basically get a guaranteed Ravage no matter what, just because of that dispel.
There's a couple of problems for Tide here, right? There's the Axe Call, which is undispellable, and then there's the Break, which he can dispel with Lotus, but then he needs to not be called at the same time. So there's like a very clear-cut plan for matches to actually just kill the Tide if they want, which is call into Hoodwink ult, and then just pile on in the Lina, and he's gonna die. And that's big, because the only saves... NIGMA do have both the Sunray and the Tether Burst heal with mech, but as we've seen earlier in the game, the damage from Smashers has been enough. So the question is, when do you push yourself over that limit where you don't die in the burst? That's when NIGMA's lineup gets a lot better, is when they can reliably heal their cores with Sunray in these fights and they start getting longer. But so far so good for Smashers. When they do get the jumps, they convert it immediately into big kills. Bottom lane relocate. No one's shielded Rasmus though. This could have been really good.
Going to continue to do this. It's not quite an IO Tiny from back in the day, but
Dire's
it's
courier
the best
has been
alternative
killed.
these days, I suppose. Can't really take a full Rax, but I mean, he does have Agnum Scepter and will be getting Butterfly very shortly. So that is when he starts to do damage in fights. I mean, this is kind of like a farming build, right? He's doing damage in fights, but it takes on a whole new level once you get these Butterfly type items.
He still feels susceptible though, even with this. I still think he can die to a full-on combo from the Smasher, so I don't think you're safe as ILTW here. It helps you against the PL, of course, but like imagine you get Axe called with Hoodwink ult and Lina Burst. I don't know, man. I don't know if their heal's enough to keep him alive without having, say, Satanic or
Dire's top
Scotty
tower
for the
is
extra
under
help.
attack.
Gets caught outside of BKB. I think he's killable.
Miracle
Dire's structures
Has
are
the butterfly
fortified.
coming online very shortly as well.
Dire's top tower
His
is under
BKB is
attack.
still at 8 seconds, so hasn't been popping it milly-willy like ILTW. Of course, ILTW has been kind of in the thick of things.
Dire's
Has Ace
top tower
on the
is
TL, has the Hark S and Y combo along with the diffuser. ILTW leading the charge now. Action onto Raznet. He can get the call down, but he's going to get killed in the meantime. He gets stunned, so Bora's up the fight as well. Bora's not really scared of anything. He's in the backline. Miracle just absolutely rampaging through Raznet. Should be enough to take him out. Full Embrace not there in time. Now the chase is on to Tofu. He's going to get off his ult for the time being, but the chase is on. Looks like Mindful might be able to find Milk in the field to be able to get out. But ILTW is in a lot of trouble right now, getting surrounded by his teammates. So the egg for separation as well. It looks like Gil might fall on the backside. Ace needs to create a little bit of space thanks to this egg. ILTW finally gets that last right click, so a 2-for-0 after all of that. Still a lot of damage on the ILTW, but no kills for Hellbearers, Smashers.
Really good play from Miracle in that fight. I don't think it's an obvious play that he can go and kill the X there, but he does pull it off just barely, and with X out of the picture, it's just easy.
Dire's
And you
bottom tower
gotta
is under
think
attack.
on Smashers as well. Like Tofu, he has to do that for that Cold Embrace. He has Blink Dagger on the Wyvern. It needs to save X from the TA in time, and who knows if they could have turned that around. But a big play from NIGMA. They get 2 kills, one of them on the Axe, which is still a decent chunk of net worth that you managed to claw into, and Roshan has just spawned in the other trap there. That's the bigger prize. It's Rose number 2 that NIGMA tailor this fight to take close to the respawn of this and get rewarded in a big way. So they just probably onto ILTW? Yes, no, maybe? Yes.
Yeah,
Give
so
the
we
chase to
looked at a
Miracle.
stat privately, right,
Onto
between
IO,
you
of
and
course,
me,
yeah.
on the win rate of second Roche, just not in pro games, but all around games. It's like 80+%, which I guess shouldn't be that big of a surprise, because second Roshan just in general probably has a high win rate throughout history, but this one in particular just has an actual for sure.
Giving the shard to TA with the silence on Psionic Trap. So
Waiting for that Ags.
it's a really big problem for Wyvern, actually. So if Wyvern is ever caught on a trap, he's just get silenced, or you kill someone else while Wyvern is silenced. It just gives this added layer of utility to Miracle to be really confident in finding key picks.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Speaking of confidence, he's straight down to mid tier 2, pushing this really quickly with those very interesting shots, looking like something out of Star Trek.
Dire's bottom tower
Star
is under
Trek, I was
attack.
thinking more Wizard
Actually,
of
World of
Oz.
Warcraft.
It's more of a rainbow
Dire's
effect, if I
bottom
do say so
tower is
myself.
fortified.
Scotty not picked up by Ace, who's in the enemy jungle right now, but like you can see, NIGMA are just taking all the outer towers. They've taken everything but the tier 2 bot, and they're just gonna go into the tier 2 left. Okay, sharpshooter with the Laguna Blade. Alright, NIGMA were not aware of that combo apparently. Everybody has to pop his BKB, and it's just a retreat, but there's the Wyvern Curse applied to him. A little bit of damage done from TA as well. Bora Ninja gets up the LSA as well. Oh, they'll relocate onto the other side of the cliff. I thought he went back to base, but it's actually a little baby one yet again, so look to reinitiate potentially here. I was going to be ordering the BKB and the Aegis. I feel like Hellbears are going to be very happy with this exchange.
Call down for what? Sorry, it's a reference to a song that you don't like because
Yeah,
it's a good song.
I actually laughed because I knew I wouldn't understand it, but I knew what it was generally from. You and I are just on the same page, even
Do
when
you
it
not
doesn't
like
make
Lil
any sense.
Jon, Suns fan?
I don't know. Who
Say
that is.
yeah, then you're saving yourself right now.
Wait, does he have blonde hair?
Okay.
Color blonde?
Let's move on with the game.
Okay.
That was
There's-
about as wrong as it.
There's a reason. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into it, but I did. Maybe it was Lil Wayne I saw recently. I get the Lil was all mixed up. I'm not gonna lie, 'cause I don't know the track of the
Yeah, there's a lot
music
of them.
kids.
That's actually easy to mix up.
That's true.
Who started that?
MKB.
Anyway? I don't know. Why is it called Lil something?
Double damage.
That's a great question for a Dota 2 cast. We got Lena,
It really is.
little Lena, has the MKB to be able to get through the butterflies from both ILTW and Miracle, so that's a very good pickup. Is that something you
Dire's
ever
middle
go
tower
for
has
on
fallen.
PL? I know it's not an item you want to, but are you forced to at some point, or are you just gonna, like, you're just gonna
get
rely on the
MKB?
illusions? Yeah.
Against double butter. I don't know. So I would say, so PL is my worst win rate hero with over 25 wins. Probably the wrong person to ask.
Great, you're the analyst, so I think you're the only
So
person.
the thing is, honestly, when I see PLs play, like you said, they don't want to buy it. I can't tell you what the breaking point is for when you have it. That's the thing, right? Like, I think in this game there's a lot of value because you're playing against double butterfly, but even he is queuing it now. I think if it was one butterfly, he wouldn't do it.
You talked long enough for him to choose his next item and farm halfway to it. You are a god. Incredible.
He just no. He just farms really fast. I didn't talk that.
Yeah,
So-
that's definitely the case.
So let's say only one of the enemy cores went butter, right? Like the TA or the gyro, but not both. I think it's probably not a good enough value proposition against getting another item. But in this game, you might feel like it's necessary. But it really does say something that his right? These two butters have been in play for quite a while.
Force the fort at the bottom lane, so looks like this is a very even game right now. I'm not just saying that because it's only a 1K net worth lead for Hellbears, but when we talked about late game, we do favor NIGMA, but have to say the gyrocopter, he is super farm, but he has been getting deleted repeatedly. Does have Satanic now. He has extra tankiness later.
That's a big item.
Obviously synergizes with his ag, since even when he's stunned, he will be attacking, getting some lifesteal off of it.
More fuel for my fire.
Wonder when we're gonna see some more discs come out as well. We have one on Gilger so far, but it feels like a very, very strong item in this game against the Hoodwink combo. Or Enigma. I gotta say, man, this actually feels great. The call to set up your sharpshooter, the fact that you break the people that you call, which just makes Axis team able to pile on way, way easier against a lot of heroes. The lane itself is pretty strong. There's a lot of damage in it. I like it.
Something we didn't mention, but Ace, he got this a while ago, was the Shard, which is the Spirit Lance bounces.
Yep.
And we talked about this at the Major, where some people were not going for this at all. When you fall into the LSA, mind control, he's deleted as well. He does have buyback though, 85 seconds. Want to use it? Almost certainly will have to though. As you can see, Lina just pounding onto the Ranger Rack. So Hellbear Smashers are the first to get a Rax of any kind. And it's going to be a full sweep in the bot lane. Miracle jumps in, but I don't think he actually wants to do anything further here. As the Flicker, that's going to be pretty annoying to deal with. Set of Rax for Hellbears. Still with buyback here, so... And of course, no fort. Nullifier now.
Buyback out of
Miracle. Okay. Rasmus jumps in, but the Yules. Buyback is there. Now the run-in from Nigma. Can they catch up to anybody is the question. Ace has a homing missile flyback and obviously just doppelganger away. We can synergize this with the Ravage potentially, but no. We're able to get it off in time. It looks like the retreat will be successful, and there's even a double damage room for the Lina.
If Smashers didn't stack that Google Plus call, who knows what would have happened to that TA. He does have the 25 talent, so he has a lot of refraction charges. But if PL connects with a lot of illusions, those are removed very quickly. And they could find themselves another big kill. But at the very least, they got the Tide buyback regardless and the disengage. And it's just this thing about Nigma's lineup that when Tide isn't there, there's so much freedom for Smashers to do whatever they want. They just get out of there, right? Nothing's going to stop them. Gonna start poking here with the PL. No. And they're gonna mirror this triangle area now. They're just gonna hold the high ground. There's no threat of a Roche for a while. Early respawn is in a minute. And this bottom wave will push in. So I reckon as soon as Enigma hero shows bottom, we might see a smoke from Smashers across to the top. Enigma are not going to give them that piece of information. They're actually making the move. Going for a big play here.
Yeah,
Aura is showing.
Wrap around here. ILTW, he's going to be spotted. The homing missile is already there. Boron Ninja has to be careful because his Yules can now be dispelled thanks to the Nullifier. With the Aeon Disc as well, or who was it that had it? Somebody. Ace. Fall down is there. Mind control gets off the Ravage. He's going to connect on a couple of heroes. Into the egg as well. That's the Sunray egg, and Boron Ninja is in a lot of trouble. Gonna get off the Yules for now, but you have to think that he will be the sacrifice at the very least. Gets movement blade off, but only damage in the end. It's now Michael jumps in again. Gonna pop that Eon disc. It looks like they want to fight. The leader's gonna buy back into the game. The pressure applies to TA, but sent back to base thanks to the beautiful relocate from GH, but a choppity chop is enough. And ILPW, as a result of Io not being there anymore, has no save for himself. Kuroki with the dive. Will he? Oh, it's gonna be close. Ace just gets enough
They found
damage.
Miracle. He has daggers.
GH. Yeah.
Timing.
Miracle. The call is there into the bushwhack. Down he goes. Wow. One buyback from Bora and
That was a
4
frame
dead.
perfect
Dire's
Lina.
top tower is under attack.
That was a frame perfect Lina coming out of that Yules. That was super good. I think so. I believe Miracle did have refraction running, so he can blink
Dire's
out of
middle tower
the
is
Yules
under
land. But the stun was just perfect. Didn't get
Dire's
to turn and
middle
blink at
tower
all.
has fallen.
This should be the game.
Yeah, they can just go
Dire's
through.
middle
Just
tower is
never
under attack.
really got their feet off the ground too much in terms of fighting. They have the farm, but fine moves. Trying one last effort to hold here.
Dead. Madness jumps in, and the damage applied again to ILPW is just more than enough. GH cannot save his brother this time around, and he's going to be the death as well. So this will be game 1 for Hellbear Smasher. They're pretty big upset. Again, this is the number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed of the upper bracket. So regardless